Hello everybody and welcome to Marshall Hangout with Devika Ranjan, a 2017 Marshall Scholar who went to the University of Cambridge and to the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama, which is quite a mouthful in itself. I'm really excited that she has agreed to come and talk to us about pandemic performance. I know that some of you saw her performances where she worked with Commonwealth Scholarships, to do an amazing production in London, which hopefully, actually, I think probably quite a few of you who are here did manage to go to. And so I am really excited to hear what she has to say. So Devika, over to you.
Thank you, Mary. Really lovely to see all of you. A great 2017 Marshall reunion and some new faces and some really dear friends. So thank you for being here, you guys. I'm very excited here to be doing this because so many of my Marshall friends have supported me in my work and come to my productions, but actually productions is so little of what I do. I spend most of my time in workshops and creating work that's often never seen. Because I work with refugees, with immigrants, with people who I get to just do theater with for the sake of doing theater and for the sake of playing. So today we're going to be doing that, and I'm really, really thrilled to share with you what I actually do. And so because today will be quite interactive, I do want to have everybody go around and we'll do a little introduction. And so what we'll do is if you can just put your little virtual hand up, you do that through participants. Reactions maybe? Yes, reactions, raise hand. So if everybody can just put their virtual hand up, beautiful. Yes, Alan. That way we have an order and everybody knows who's next. And once you finish introducing yourself, you can just pop your virtual hand down. Anybody need a hand figuring out where that virtual hand is? Right at the bottom left, right at the bottom right, there's a reaction button, and you just push your hand up. So I'll ask you to say your name and your Marshall year or affiliation. I'll ask you to say where you're calling from and what is the best and most interesting or the most surprising package that you have ever received. So I'll put that in the chat, but I can kick off. My name is Devika Ranjan. As Mary said, I was a 2017 Marshall, and I'm calling from the suburbs outside of Boston, Massachusetts. The most interesting package that I've ever received comes from someone on this call, 2017 Marshall Sherfield, Erica Raven, who sent me a couple weeks ago this amazing mystery package that I wasn't expecting with like sage and a handful of these green balls and a pin and a card and like a couple of tear outs of calendar pages. And all of it was unexplained. And that's the most amazing package I've ever received. Alice, I will pass it to you. Alice, can you unmute, please? Yes.
Yes. So I'm Alice Prohaska. I'm one of the Marshall Commissioners, and I'm trying very hard to think of my most amazing package, but I got one recently I have quite a lot of work to do in some of my other incarnations with India. And quite unexpectedly, I received a most beautiful package of little pots of tea, teas like masala chai and all my favorite teas, absolutely out of the blue, from a friend who's vice chancellor of a new university in India near to Delhi. And I've been little by little sharing it with friends and working my way through it. And that was just a delightful surprise. And it made me feel back in India again and reconnected me with a large part of my life.
Thank you, Alice. You can put your hand down and we'll go to Alan.
Hello, I'm Alan Buckbinder. I'm also a Marshall Commissioner. and the Master of Downing College in Cambridge. I am speaking to you from London. And my most welcome package goes back to the time when I was on a year abroad in the Soviet Union. And it was the middle of winter, and all there was to consume were potatoes, carrots, and vodka. So a food parcel that came from my parents in England with all sorts of treats and delicacies was hugely welcome after 3 or 4 months of serious deprivation.
Thanks, Alan. I have Erica next.
Okay, yes. So I'm Erica. I'm a 2017 Marshall Scholar, and I'm calling right now from New York City in Midtown. So not the most exciting part of Manhattan, but here we are. And the most amazing package I received, I mean, definitely, I don't know if it's the most, but a wonderful package I got from Devika recently had a fun little book that was very short, which is perfect for my attention span at the moment, having a new baby girl in the house. And also a beautiful poem that she wrote. I always love kind of getting to see what she's thinking about, as do with other friends. And she had this really nice poem, and it came at a good moment. So that lifted my spirits for sure. But Alan's comment about food packages really hits home. I also received a box of Girl Scout cookies recently that I enjoyed a lot. So that's the second one.
Over to Julius, and you can go ahead and just call on whoever is next to you. We don't have to stick to any order.
Hi everyone, Julius, and I'm calling in from Oxford. I'm a 2017 Marshall, and I'm gonna go with the most surprising package I've ever gotten, because that was originally an option. My college friends and I still do a secret Santa every year. And one year, the person who had me had also ordered a box of acorn decorations for her room, and accidentally gave me the box of acorn decorations as my Secret Santa gift. And I opened it to great aplomb, as everyone just expected, yes, the biologist is going to get acorns for Christmas. So still the most surprising thing I've ever opened to find in a box. On to Victoria.
Hi, everybody. My name is Victoria. I am also the class of 2017, which kind of feels unbelievably far away now. I am still in the UK, so I live in London, in Wapping, so it's sort of right by the Tower Bridge, which has been really nice because there's not much to be going out and doing other than going for walks. So I'm really lucky to be able to go out on the river a little bit and see some beautiful sights. I don't know, it's a really good question about the most surprising package. I think most recently, what I've been really loving during quarantine has been that my mom has discovered Amazon UK from the US. And so I've been getting, as obviously none of us can travel, I haven't been home for a while. And so for Christmas and New Year's and Valentine's Day, I've been getting just little surprises with no explanation, but I pretty much know that if something from Amazon comes in a small box and there's no note or anything, that it's something from my mom that she discovered. So that's, been the ongoing story of my packages recently. Devika's next to me. Garrett, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hey, y'all. I'm Garrett Turner. I'm from Florence, Alabama, coming in from Tallahassee, Florida today. And one of the most amazing packages we've ever received, because I got married this past year, was my wife receiving the package of a lump sum of back pay from unemployment after petitioning for months. That came in the package of a direct deposit to our bank account, which was pretty great. Let's see, David.
Hi, I'm David Ulitzer, another 2017, calling also from Oxford, actually just down the street from Julius. I'm calling with my little bud, Earl, who is a nice pandemic puppy who is very excited right now. I guess on the Earl related thing, a surprising thing I got in a package recently was my mom sent a package of dachshund related paraphernalia, including some dachshund socks. This is for humans, so socks for humans with dachshunds on it, and very brightly colored masks with a dachshund face on it. Definitely surprising items. Yes. Helen is on the screen next to me.
Hi everyone, I'm Helen. I'm the current program administrator for Marshall, and I am in North London. I'll go with a surprising package. It's not, so a couple of years ago, I was working at a university in Reading, and my boyfriend worked in London, and if he wanted anything sent, he would just have it sent to me, and he would always tell me so that I would know to expect something. And then one day this parcel turns up and he hasn't told me he's sending me anything, and I open it and it contains dental floss and disposable gloves. And and that was a surprising thing to receive and unwrap in a work setting. I was thinking, what? So not as nice to receive as some of the things that you guys have all got, but certainly a surprise. Next to me, everybody, Michaela.
Hi everybody, my name is Michaela. I'm a 2020 Marshall Scholar. So I'm currently right now staying in London. I think like the most crazy gift or package I've ever received. I'm very spiritual, so like it was right before I actually came to London for the Marshall. I was like trying to figure out basically a big science versus art debate in my head. And randomly I get a ring on my doorbell. I go out and it's like a package on my doorstep, and I'm like, ooh, this is mysterious, and has Amazon on it. And I open it and it's actually like it's like a medical anatomy art book. Like it was like because at the time I was like, show me a sign. And then like this random package got delivered to my door, and it's informed like a lot of my studying and a lot of my path in London. So I think that was probably the most shocking gift. It wasn't even for me. Like it turned out to be a mistake. Somebody accidentally sent it to my address. I found out later.
Amazing. Michaela, can you pass it to somebody, please?
Yes, sorry. Jorge, did I pronounce? Or George?
Yeah, Jorge. Thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Jorge Ledesma. I am a 2021 Marshall Scholar, so I'm a newbie. And the best package I ever received was back in 2015, I believe. I had been hearing about this musical named Hamilton for a while before it even sort of got to Broadway, because I'm from New Jersey. And my mom got me tickets for my graduation from high school, which was nice to know that it cost like a tenth of what it ultimately would end up costing as the phenomenon sort of grew. But then having the experience of seeing that live before it became, what it ultimately became, was really just satisfying. And it was one of the very important times in my life when I realized that my path in government and so on is one that is righteous and suits who I am as a person. Yeah. All right. Next is Yadexi.
Hi, yeah, that's correct. I'm Yadexi. I'm also a 2021 Marshall Scholar. So hi, Jorge, nice to meet you as well. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, I'm in Chicago. And I think the best package I ever received was my first year of college. I was feeling very homesick, and there's like nothing. Oh, hi. I read that you're also a Chicagoan. And I was just so homesick. So my boyfriend sent me an electric tea kettle, and at least I could make myself tea when I was sad alone in my dorm. But I will pass it on to Michael.
Hello, there's two of us. You go first.
Mike. I'm currently here in Southampton. I'm a 2020 Marshall. Sorry, I don't know what year this is. And I would say, I don't know about most amazing or surprising, but I recently signed up to be a vaccine volunteer for NHS, and I keep checking the app and there's never any shifts available. So I don't know if I'm doing it right. So I haven't actually gotten to do it, but NHS has sent me not one, but 2 separate packages with bright yellow safety vests. So if I ever get to do it, I will be decked out with 2 safety vests. And I'll pass it on to other Michael.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Michael Pashkovich. I'm the 2021 Marshall Scholar Fellow. I apologize, my camera's not on. I'm in Cambridge right now, and I'm walking from one part of the city to another, which is the reason why I'm actually walking past King's right now. But the most surprising package I think I've ever received is that, or maybe the best one I've ever received, is that I have a niece and nephew in the States, and they regularly send me like monthly drawings. So I get to kind of see their progress as people over time in terms of their art, which is quite exciting. But yeah, so that's been great. And I'm sorry, I'm having a bit of issue seeing who's on the screen because I'm calling from my phone. So
No worries, Michael.
Over.
Rachel, you want to take it away?
Thanks.
Sure. Hi, my name is Rachel, and I used to work as part of the Marshall Scholarships. I used to do Helen's job. So I know some of you, so hi to those who I haven't seen in ages. I'm currently in London. I know, boring, like the rest of us who are in London. The most surprising package that I received was a package with nothing in it. So I didn't know who it was from. It had no return address. It didn't say what it was. So I was looking for something with nothing. It was great. I found out what it was eventually. It was meant to be a pair of socks, but it came with nothing. So that was my most surprising. I jumped out for a bit, so I apologize if I'm reaching out to someone who's already spoken, but Erin's got her hand up. So I don't know if Erin wants to go next.
Yeah, I can go. Hi, Rachel. Hi, everyone. So good to see you. Erin Simpson. I'm a 2017 Marshall Scholar. I'm calling in from my office/bedroom in Washington, D.C. on my lunch break. And the most surprising thing I ever got in the mail, or the most delightful thing I ever got in the mail, after my Marshall year, I hiked the Pacific Crest Trail. It took several months. Once in a while, we'd hitchhike into town and resupply food and like packages. And unbeknownst to me, a friend sent me a resupply care package, and it had 3 dozen cookies, a bunch of frog and lizard temporary tattoos, cutouts of like women soccer players from magazines, a mini harmonica, and a bottle of peppermint schnapps. And that was a delight to receive.
Thank you, Erin. Lucy and Mary and Sarah are our friends who have to go. So Lucy, why don't you take it away?
Okay, so my name's Lucy Mahaffey, and I'm actually in Oklahoma right now in the US. And let me see if I can remember everything I'm supposed to say. I guess the kind of one of the most amazing packages I ever got was actually, I'm a 2019, if I remember the year right, Marshall Scholar. And one of the actually amazing packages I got was right before my scholarship started. A friend made it an effort to contact a lot of very important people in my life, and they actually compiled a kind of package of letters and pictures and stuff from dear friends, and gave it to me, but said, don't open it till you get to England. So, you know, the first week of my scholarship, I got settled after the high of like orientation, and I'd opened it, and it was just, you know, then I was crying, and I had my tea, and I was so excited. So that was just very heartfelt. So.
Thank you. We'll go to Mary, and then we'll end with Sarah.
Hi, I'm Mary Denyer, Head of Scholarship Administration. I am currently in Surrey, in a small village in Surrey, so not in London. The most surprising package has to be the series of BOOMF cards that Alina Utrata, a Marshall Scholar, sent to our office, to the point that we were then afraid of opening any of our posts just in case something exploded and put confetti all over the office. The first one I believe I think the first one had Donald Trump and Boris on it. The second one had my cat and the number 10 cat on it. And the third one was a picture of David Wagner on a card with a butterfly inside that when you opened it, it flew out. So there was a lot of explosive posts going on in the office for about a week and a half. And it was like, I think it was Aoife at the time that was around, who basically neither one of us wanted to open the post because we were scared that something was going to explode at us. So I have now given both my goddaughter and my nephew during lockdown the same cards, and then sent their parents sorry not sorry because their houses are now covered in confetti.
Thank you, Mary. And over to Sarah.
Hi everyone, my name is Sarah Bureshad. I'm in Columbus, Ohio in the US, and I'm actually a Beinecke scholar, not a Marshall scholar. And I was invited by Diane Flynn because this event was right up my alley. I did a one-woman show about my story as an immigrant, Palestinian immigrant who escaped the Syrian war. And the most amazing package, I had to think about that one. I would say it was from a college admissions when 4 years ago I was looking for colleges. One of them sent an envelope that when you open it, it turns into a cube, and it was just the most genius design. So I kept it for a long time. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, welcome. And so cool to hear about your work. I would love to know more. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad all of you are here. Thanks for sharing about your packages, you guys. I will tell you a little bit more about why we are talking about packages soon. But before I do that, I wanted to talk to you about theater and my work in theater. So as Mary mentioned, I work with immigrants and migrants and tell stories about them that they create, and often with them as performers. And what I'm really interested in doing is thinking about the idea of migration as something that we create theater out of, right? How can theater learn from migration, and how can theater reflect migration? So in thinking about that, I'm really interested in immersive theater, which is theater that surrounds you. It's not theater where you're sitting in an audience and you're removed from the action that's happening on a stage. It's theater that you feel surrounded by, where you're walking around and you can touch things and you can smell things, and where the performers are having direct one-on-one conversations with the audience members. Because I think of immersive environments as the closest thing we get to migration, right? Of being suddenly thrust into an unfamiliar space, an exciting space, a space in which we don't know what's around the other corner, that's at the same time pushing boundaries. And so one of the works that I created in London while I was on the Marshall was at the Migration Museum in Vauxhall, that at the time, I'm not sure if it's still up, had this really cool exhibit that was set up like rooms of a house. And I worked with Windle scholars through the ACU to develop their stories. Many of them have stories of being internally displaced in West Africa, and then coming to the UK for education. And so in collaboration, we developed their stories and put on a performance in the Migration Museum that was immersive, that happened around you. You were spoken to as a friend or as a guest in the house, rather than the action happening far away. And now I work with Albany Park Theater Project, which is in Chicago. It's a really wonderful youth immigrant theater company. We work with teenagers, and we stage the stories of the community. So we collect stories through oral histories, through ethnography. We listen to the storytellers, we honor their journeys, and then we adapt it to the stage. And we create professional quality productions. In the past 5 years, we've been working on immersive theater performances, like I was talking about. Currently, we're in the process of building an apartment building that will have 4 apartments in it for the audience to move through to experience life in this immigrant apartment building where families live side by side and cultures are constantly mixing and mingling and growing. And so, up until, March 2020, my performance work was very intimate. The shows that I was making asked audience members and performers to be less than 2 feet away from each other. And of course, that cannot happen anymore. So I had to think about what does it mean to make theater when we can't be together, right? And for me, that's a question of what actually is theater, right? What is theater that sets it apart from film? And for me, theater is an exchange of energy, right? It's asking the audience to be present and asking the performers to be present so that we can exchange something with each other. And that's why a lot of Zoom theater, frankly, has been quite unsatisfying for me because there's no eye contact. I might as well, as an audience member, I might as well not be there. I can just turn my camera off and sit back and it could be like a movie. And so I'm interested in theater in which we have to be present, in which we have to be there for each other. So I wanted to show you, before we talk about packages, I wanted to show you an example of the work that I do right now with the teens that I work with. And this was created entirely, actually in early pandemic, around April and May of 2020. And it tells the story of migrant laborers in Chicago, day workers, and what it means to leave family behind and work in the United States and be sending money, sending packages back home. As you listen to this and watch this, I invite you, it's about a 6-minute piece, so I invite you to grab any pieces of paper that you haven't grabbed, any markers, pens, pencils, stickers, anything that you feel like you want to write with or write on. Okay, I will share.
The day that she was born, I held her for a while. She took my brown eyes and my mother's smile. She fit into my palm, my precious little girl. I wanted nothing more than to give her all the world. Amor de lejos es amor de tontos. She grew before me. The time flew by like a bird. She took her first steps. I heard her very first words. Each and every day she held my hand so tight. All through our little town she never left my side. Amor de lejos es amor de tontos. An Honduran sunrise burned into my mind. And norte before me, a cool ocean breeze behind. I bent to kiss her head before I turned to go, knowing my love of home and for her would only amores tontos. I join the many who build and clean and feed and home. We work in the shadows, and in return they build their walls. But one day we will set these man-made borders free and tear down all the walls.
But I'd like to turn it back on.
Girl from me,
Yeah. Can you move your computer? Sorry, my friend.
Amor de lejos, misma luna, el día llega. Amor de lejos, luchar por un sueño, luchar, aquí sigo. Amor de lejos, luchar por un sueño. Love believer. Amor de lejos, luchar por un sueño. Love of survivors. Luchar por un sueño. Lovers and dreamers. Amor de lejos, es amor.
Cool. So this is some of the work that we do. That was done entirely through self-tape on iPhones. There were no other people in their spaces. They were in their own homes. They set up a couple of angles and composed the music that was very teen-led, created the movement. So that's sort of who I work with. And you'll notice that they're very in their bodies, and they're very present to each other. And, you know, of course, the challenge now is, how do we pivot, right? How do we pivot from youth who are so connected and so bodily to this distanced space? So the project that I am directing and working on right now is called Yours Truly. And it's a project that takes place entirely through letters. The story will play out over 5 letters that are sent to the audience. and the audience is invited to write back to the character. So every letter is personalized. The audience is invited to accompany the character on this journey that she goes through over a series of 3 months. So today I wanted us to think about together how we create performance for one person, right? We create an immersive environment through an envelope. We create an immersive, a new experience for somebody who is not with us. And we, for a moment, ask them to forget the world that they're in and join us in a world that we create. So actually, I'll invite us to do this in the chat. If you can put in the chat either something ordinary or something extraordinary that happened to you today. Anything, and type it in, but don't press enter yet. Something ordinary or something extraordinary that happened to you today. We'll take 30 seconds to think of something and type it in the chat, and don't press enter yet. We'll press enter together. I have mine in, and I'm almost ready. Are we ready? We ready to go? Press enter. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, and scroll through. I love how many times we have mentioned coffee and tea today. Beautiful. Really beautiful. I see a lot of extraordinary here. I see a lot of extraordinary. Thank you. Okay, so today we are going to create an immersive performance for one person, and it's going to be about ordinary and extraordinary things that happen around you. So this is where your paper and your pens come in. And as we start, I invite you to think back about the best package you've ever received, right? Like what we talked about earlier. What made it special? Was it the surprise of nothing being in it? Was it something popping out at you? Was it the smell of chai that you hadn't had in years? Was it something that you could read that somebody had read to you? Was it something that you could taste that you hadn't tasted in a very long time? And I'll ask you to take a piece of paper. This doesn't have to be your fancy paper. It can just be like a piece of paper that's around you. And we're going to make lists. And each list will take about a minute. Or less, actually. This is a Marshall community, so I think you can do it in less. We're just listing 5 things. We're listing 5 things. The first list is 5 things you ate or drank today. Go. I'm realizing that I haven't eaten 5 things, but for those of you who are in later time zones, perhaps you have. And if you just get to 4, that's fine too, or less. Okay. Your next list is 5 things you heard today. 5 things you heard. Okay. Pause wherever you're at, even if you didn't get to 5. We're doing some rapid fire lists, friends. Good morning. 5 ways you moved today. 5 ways you moved. This is a little harder for me because I don't think about how I move. Okay, 5 seconds. That's okay if you didn't get to 5. However many you got. We're here for it. We're here for it. 5 things you touched today. 5 things you touched. Great. Take 5 seconds to finish up there. It's a speedy 5 seconds. Okay, and 5 things you did today. 5 things you did. I'm sure this is a little bit easier than some of the others. Okay. And our last list is 5 things you did not do. All right, friends. So now you have several lists that have several random things in them. And we're going to take 3 minutes. And you'll take one of your papers. I'm going to go with this this paper that was left over from my 7-year-old birthday party invitations. This is the advantage of being in my childhood house. But whatever paper you have counts, whatever size. And you're going to convert one of these 3 things from these lists into doodles. And you're going to put them anywhere you want on the paper. They don't have to be in a line, they can just be around. So 3 doodles on 1 piece of paper.
Is it 3 things from each list or 3 things from any list?
3 things from any list, 3 doodles total. Okay, we'll take 30 seconds to wrap up your doodles. Very serious doodling, friends. How are we doing? Let me know where you are in your doodles. 1 doodle, 2 doodles, 3 doodles, 3. Oh, wow, what prolific doodlers we have in this group. Okay, no worries if you haven't finished your doodles. Certainly this is very serious work, but it is work that you can resume at another time. Now you'll take your other piece of paper. Maybe it's your Post-it note or your index card or some old hotel stationery or whatever you have lying around. Actually, yeah, let me grab that. Renaissance hotels and resorts. Important to use these things. Okay. And we are going to write a poem. The poem will be 3 lines long. And the first line of the poem will require you to look out of your window. So please take a moment to look out of your window and make a note of the weather. And the first line of your poem is going to be a description of the weather. Give me a thumbs up when you've got that down. Excellent. Okay. The second line of your poem will be something you can hear that comes from the outside. Something you can hear that comes from the outside. Okay. And your third and final line will be 2 options here. One option is if you have something on your list, any things on your list that that you want to put in this poem, just because you want to put it there. Doesn't have to make sense, doesn't have to do with the weather, doesn't have to do with the outdoors, but you want to put it there, then you put it there. That's your third line. And if nothing is calling to you on this list, you know what? Just kidding. There's only one option. This is from the list. Anything that is calling to you from that list is going to be the last line of that poem. Okay. So now, my friends, we have a piece of paper with some doodles on it. We have a poem, and the most essential component, I think, is a gift. There needs to be some sort of gift. And for the play that I'm creating, right, we are the theater, so we have budgetary constraints. And our budgetary constraint is that it has to fit in a normal business envelope with a forever stamp on it. So it has to be less than an ounce. So the gift that you find should be less than an ounce. I can share with you that some of my favorite gifts, as Alice mentioned, are tea bags. And I think that many of us have mentioned tea and coffee, and that it's part of our day. And so that's an offering that I offer to you. Is a tea bag, or I don't know what the coffee equivalent would be, but maybe it's something else that's flat, that you are able to tuck into an envelope that tells a little story. It tells a little story about your day, or lets your audience member in to a moment of your day. The other favorite, and this requires a little bit of expedition, is a leaf or something from the outdoors. Maybe you went on a walk. Maybe you will go on a walk. I still have plenty of day ahead of me. And once you have assembled this, let me remind you that this is a letter. And so a letter needs to go in an envelope. Maybe you don't have an envelope readily accessible for you right now, but in your mind, make a note of who is going to be the recipient of this envelope, because every play certainly needs an audience. Every experience needs an audience. And so maybe it's another Marshall, maybe it's a friend you haven't spoken to in a long time, maybe it's a family member. Don't tell them it's coming though. Don't tell them it's coming to them. So now you have your audience member. You have a couple of items that you are going to stuff in your envelope that's going to fit in a forever stamp or a first class mail. And you have this piece of paper that has some doodles on it, but it doesn't have any words. So that I will leave up to you. Fill in the blanks, write your message to your audience member, and think about how you invite them into this ordinary day that you've been having that has quite extraordinary elements in it. And think about how maybe you pull from this list if you can't think of anything ordinary or extraordinary, because I think that spilling coffee can actually be quite extraordinary. I think that eating Chinese food can be quite extraordinary, especially when we think about this moment that we're in, right? Like, I certainly save all of the letters and packages that I receive. And if I were to look back at a letter or package that came in 2020 and 2021, I think it would tell a very different story than it did in 2017. And so I invite us to capture this moment and stuff it in a little envelope. And do put it in the post today because you've made it, and maybe it'll give you an excuse for a walk. Okay, maybe tomorrow if the sun is already set. Cool, friends. And a bonus challenge for you is to add something that you can smell. Add something that you can smell. If there are any ideas for the smellings, I welcome them in the chat right now. Yes, Rachel, lemongrass, beautiful. It's a good idea. We're actually using that in our play that's coming. Rosemary. Dryer sheets. Perfume. Yeah, very old school, Michaela. A little perfume, a little love letter. Cute. Awesome. So this has been a window into my world of what of how I'm thinking about creating immersive performance that reaches out to audience members, that immerses and invites audience members even during a pandemic. So the work that I'm creating called Yours Truly will involve certainly a letter that is sort of about the plot, but also poems and doodles and gifts and things to smell and things to taste and ways in which to be part of our character's world in Albany Park in Chicago, even if people are across the world. Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you for playing. I hope that you will send your little nonsensical packages because I promise that they will bring delight and perhaps confusion, perhaps excitement, and that's all we can hope to do right now in our connection with each other. Thank you.
Thanks, Devika. That was absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much. And I really enjoyed the performance from the theatre as well. So thank you very much for doing that. Thank you everybody else for joining in and being part of this. I will let you know about the next Hangout, which will be next Wednesday, and I think is a current scholar. So that's really exciting, and I will be sending out the flyer tomorrow. So thank you very much, Devika. Thank you everybody for attending and taking part. I hope some of you get special packages soon.
Thanks, guys. I'm putting my email in the chat in case anybody has any questions or wants to chat generally. I remind my 2017 Marshalls that my phone number is the same as it always was, and I expect to hear from you soon.